Hello, welcome to the User Experience Evaluation course. During this first session, we are going to provide you a set of notions and concepts that will help you throughout the course to select the right methods and to understand what is user experience evaluation. Why do we need to evaluate? We need to evaluate to get informed about the value of your product, getting feedback about your design issues, or to better understand the user's experience. Letting them to reflect on their needs and their experience will enable us to better understand what we need to design to to provide a good experience for the users. If you have a look to this schema, you will see that evaluation is an ongoing process. It's something that it needs to be iterative. It means that you need to evaluate in different phases. When do we need to evaluate? As I said before, evaluation needs to be done in different design phases or development phases. During the scenarios, when you are doing your sketches or you are working on your concepts, during early prototypes, low fidelity prototypes like paper prototypes, during high fidelity prototypes or functional prototypes, and even when you have a product on the market. Where shall we evaluate? Our evaluation process can be done in many places. It can be done in the field, outside. They are called field studies. It can be done in constrained conditions, lab studies, or online studies, or it can be made through questionnaires and scales. Who to use? During the evaluation process, we can use either experts, UX experts, we can use one user at a time, a group of users, or even a pair of users. What to evaluate? The evaluation study period can be done in different times. Before usage, so you get to know better the user before they experience your product. During a snapshot in an interaction, while they are using your product for the first time, for the second time, or so on. During a specific time experience, you provide them an activity, and then they will face that experience, or during a long-term usage, like 1 week, 6 months, 1 year, and so on. What objects do we evaluate usually? We evaluate different things. All interactive objects needs to be evaluated. So interactions needs to be set up and evaluated. We can evaluate an interface on a screen, like a platform, a browser, a mobile interface, or we can evaluate special interactive objects. We can go deep and evaluate specific things within our product, like visual, audible, tangible, and so on. Evaluation. So let's take a look at some concepts of evaluation, and let's try to understand those concepts. Usually we hear about concepts like usefulness, usability, and user experience. We also hear about evaluation methods and tools. So basically, objects of evaluation, methods, category, metrics, data, and skills. But do we know exactly what that means, or do we understand what we are talking about? So let's go deep into the concepts. Let's start with the usefulness, usability, and user experience. What they mean. So, in terms of user experience, a good user experience depends on both pragmatic and hedonic qualities. What is it, pragmatic and hedonic qualities? Let's see. If you look at usability, we see usability more grasping the pragmatic qualities of user experience. And in terms of user experience, then we see that experience focus more on the hedonic qualities of your product. But we don't, if we don't understand what this means, then it's very hard for us to start evaluating and understand how to set up the protocols and get feedback from the users. What it means. So usefulness and usability are mostly pragmatic qualities. This means that we focus on to-do goals, we focus on the product, we focus on our system, and we try to find out what does work, what doesn't work, what are the errors, and we look for specific things to fix. Hedonic qualities. We focus on a specific thing related with emotions. We look for pleasure and for experience. And we don't focus so much on the product, but we focus more on the user and his experience when using the product, the system, for example. So, pleasure is related with hedonic. It relates with the two big goals, more with the user, the experience that we want to focus, the values that we want to transmit to the user. Usability concept means that it is the extent to which a product or a service can be used by specific users to achieve predefined goals in a specific context. What does this mean? Really. Usability means that we focus on assessing and evaluating a specific product and a service, and we focus on three main dimensions. If the product is effective, efficient, and satisfactory. Sometimes we also consider two other dimensions like learnability and memorability. Again, we can go a little bit further and try to measure its usefulness or the degree to which a product enables users to achieve his or her goals, assessing, for example, users' willingness to use a product or a service. But nonetheless, the term user experience came out a few years ago, and this term tends to be distinguished or tends to be misinterpreted with usability. They are two different terms from my perspective. So usability focuses on measuring pragmatic things. It focuses on measuring effectiveness, efficiency, and satisfaction. And user experience focuses more on the emotion, the hedonic qualities. What happens is that pragmatic qualities are very easy or more easy to measure because they can be quantified. Hedonic qualities are not so easy to measure because they are related with emotions, and emotions differ from the user to user and also are not so tangible as pragmatic qualities. Why did this user experience need emerge? In the beginnings, if we had a product in the market that we consider to be effective, efficient, and satisfactory, that means that the product, the probability of this product to be accepted was high. Nonetheless, with the growth of the market and the number of products and services existing, these three qualities are not enough anymore because we have the same similar products with the similar qualities. So what differentiates this product is the experience that the user has with the product. That's why we call it user experience. We need to measure more than just usability. We need to measure what is the emotion and what we want to transfer to the user by using our product. So the user experience basically is the person perception and response of use or anticipated use of a certain product or a service. We don't focus on the product per se, on the mistakes that we can fix, but we focus on how people perceive and respond to the use of that product. So, how do we evaluate or assess this experience? Through emotions, through beliefs, to preferences, to perceptions. We mainly focus on behaviors and try to figure out what our product provides and what type of behaviors they provide to users. So, user perception mainly is the degree to which a user perceives a product or a service as providing a good experience. How do we evaluate that? We evaluate the user intentions to use certain product and service. If we look at the schema in terms of where usability stays and where UX stays, we can more or less set up that usability concerns with the product attributes and preventing errors. So usability focuses on the task oriented, how to prevent something for not working or to working in a more efficient or satisfactory way. User experience is something that you measure after using or before using, but mainly after using. So you concern in building positive experience resulted from the interaction with the product. You concern more on reflection and you use methods that can provide that feedback for you. How to choose then a specific method? As measuring emotions is such a complex way to do. So, evaluating user experience can be tricky, but it is possible. As we'll now address possible approaches. So, in relating to methods and tools on how to evaluate user experience, this is very similar with the research process. It needs to be carefully planned. Usually, we categorize these in methods. So, in terms of assessment, we have different methods and ways to assess our study conditions. We can have methods that are formative, just to get informed, are more summative, based on errors. We can design a study, we can design an experiment, and we can use comparative studies to assess and evaluate and get feedback from the users regarding our services. We can also have and apply our evaluation process in different time factors before using snapshot of interaction. I already addressed this before. And we can also have different ways of measuring or different ways of reporting our feedback. So we can have diaries like self-report diaries. We can observe what the user is doing, or we can directly measure like time tasks or number of clicks. We can also calculate and conclude the big 5 personality traits, and we can have also experts' opinion. Each method have different data that we can get, and we can get that data with different scales. Mainly, the scales can be more quantified or more qualified. So, like metrics of time to complete tasks are more quantified, or count of errors. Written reports are more qualified, and schemas, audio records, video records, and so on. Other conditions that we need also to address. We need to provides and set up the conditions of use, the surrounding environments. We want to constrain our study or not. We want to do it in the field or we want to do it in the lab conditions where we can prevent any additional things that come outside to be formed. We should not have also factors like prejudice or previous experience from the user. We should choose the user carefully. Mainly, if it is an IT-based user, we advise not to use that type of users. The best users are the more naive, the ones that do the questions that everyone does. We also need to figure out what type of demographic background will use our product. Mostly of those answers are set up when you do your profile or your persona and when you do your scenario. So when setting up your persona and that scenario, you are already selecting the users and where do you want to do and perform your evaluation.